Oh. Narayana. Hari Om and good morning from Collingwood. Collingwood is in Ontario. When Lord Rama had just defeated Ravana at the end of Ramayana, Lord Rama had never been a king. As soon as he was about to be a king, then he was exiled. And he wanted to know how to be a good king. And Ravana was a good king for those type of people. He was a good king. So when he went to Ravana and asked him, what is your message for me as a future king? What is your message for the world? Here's what Ravana said. He said, Shubhasya shigram and Ashubhasya kala haranam. Shubhasya shigram means if you have a good thought, you should act on that shigram, quickly, right away. Ashubhasya, if you have a bad thought, then kala haranam, let time steal that thought away. In other words, delay, procrastinate. And who's saying this? Ravana. And what's humorous about this is that Ravana didn't follow this advice at all. But he knew what was right, isn't it? And I'm sure that's very relatable to all of us. We know what is right, but actually manifesting that is quite different. And here is where we see the separation between Rama, who is joy, and Ravana is the one who pretends to be joy. Those who follow self-development, they feel joy. And those who pretend to follow self-development, then they pretend to feel joy. Now, as we think about time more, I had read that life is a terminal condition. In other words, every one of us is going to die and nobody can do anything about that. You all agree? There's a lot of physicians in Cleveland and Flint, and they like to think otherwise, but this is the truth. Every one of us is going to die. Now, suppose I told you you have 168 hours to live. By the time we start our Ramayana class next week, none of us will be alive. What would you do this week? How would it look? And I facilitate this exercise in many places. And people come up with, I would travel more, I'd see my family, I would go visit one Sadguru. And my message to all of them is, why aren't you doing that right now? Who knows for sure that we will be around for the next Sunday morning? So whatever you would do, shouldn't you be doing that now? And everyone will think it's not practical. But I've shared with you in the past, the most impractical way to live is to live unhappily, to pretend to be happy. And the most practical way to live is to live happily. If we have 1 week to live, I feel like what we're doing right now is the best preparation for that 1 week. Because as you think, so you develop. And we're thinking about the absolute. We will travel to the absolute also. Last week, we studied how shiksha makes one a shishya. Shiksha means lesson, instruction, learning. Makes one a shishya, a disciple. What this means to us is when you and I are ready to learn, we become more disciplined. But for the person who's not ready to learn, they're indisciplined. And taking learning from another perspective, if you're always interested in learning, that means you're interested in every experience. You become the most interesting person then, isn't it? But people who are not interested in others, or not interested in the world, they are bored, and so they are boring, no? So you see, a gauge of a disciple is someone who's interested in every experience. And that's what makes them interesting. And today you'll hear more about that, about how Bhagwan Rama is interested in all that he experiences. And when someone is a shishya, when someone is disciplined, they actually live like the guru without becoming the guru. See, a disciple, they're not fascinated with becoming a guru, but they want to live like the guru because that's what's great. Now you see, last week we studied how Bhagwan Rama became the guru of Maricha. Remember, he shot him with that shaft and he landed 800 miles away in Mumbai. It's shared that Maricha, from that moment onwards, was scared of the letters R and M. Because Rama, Rama's the one who caused this to him. But what's hilarious about that is his own name had an R and an M in it. He was scared of his own name also. So Bhagwan Rama taught him about who's the real master. Not Ravana, but Rama. We also studied how Bhagwan Rama became the guru of Ahalya. His sparsha, his touch was a jnana sparsha, the touch of knowledge. And with the touch of knowledge, what goes away is aviveka, or confusion, not knowing what a priority is. When that knowledge comes into our lives, then there's clarity. What I admire about American restaurants, or in some states, is that when you order food, they tell you how many calories are contained in that food or drink, correct? Not all restaurants, not all states do that. One of my favorite drinks at Starbucks was, past tense, was the white mocha frappuccino. I think that's what it was called, because it's so delicious. And I would get that regularly. And then one day I went to a Starbucks that showed how many calories was in that white mocha frappuccino. And out of everything on that menu, that had the most, like 460 calories. So this one 5-minute drink takes away, 20% of my calories for the day. So now I just drink black coffee. There's only 5 calories in it, or if there's any calories in that cup of coffee. So you see, that sign was like that jnana sparsha to my aviveka. And Bhagwan Rama became the guru to even Raja Janaka. His name is Videha, which means the one who's not identified with the body. And when he experienced Bhagwan Rama, he lost his body consciousness. And that's what a guru guides us to be like, is to be less identified with this body. Next week, I'll be speaking to all of you from San Jose. And I'm facilitating a retreat there called Lift Yourself by Yourself. And it's based on Chanakya's Niti Shastra. Niti means leadership. Shastra means a science of leadership. And in this, a uniform message is, only when you lead yourself are you allowed to lead others. Correct? Okay. And now relating that to this message about Videha, what Chanakya writes is, people who look after their beauty too much those same people are distracted by other people's beauty. Now here we have to take beauty in a more lusty way. The more identified I am with my body, the more I judge your body. But the more I become free of how I look, the deeper I go into you, because I'm not so concerned about how you look either, isn't it? Nice leadership teaching. And our typical motivational leadership, they would never teach that. But that's why we need this depth of teaching, this depth of leadership. We continue with our study, and we're preparing for a very momentous celebration that will happen in Ramayana soon, and that will be the marriage of Bhagavan Rama and Mother Sita. But, right, there has to be preparation for that. For anyone who's had their son or daughter married, it takes a year at least of preparation, just functionally, not to even talk about the relationship and so on. So we prepared too. I am reading the 224th section of Chaupais, 224. I'm going to read the Doha, line 1 and 2 of the Doha, which is on page 156. Goswami Ji shares. Saba sisu ehi misa prema basa parasi manohara gata Tana pula kahi ati harashuhiya deki do brata. So what is shared here is the little kids in Raja Janaka's city, they were making any excuse to go touch Bhagavan Rama. And as they started holding his hand and holding his back and shoulder, they were pointing out, look it over there, this is where I live, and on and on and on. Okay? So how did this all come to be? Right now, Rishi Vishwamitra has brought Bhagavan Rama and Sri Lakshmana to the outskirts of Mithila. And Raja Janaka is telling Rishi Vishwamitra, it seems like every being loves these boys. He's saying that even before these boys have gone to the city. He says that. And then they go into the city. And Sri Lakshmana, he wants to see the city, correct? He's only grown up in Ayodhya, so he wants to be a tourist. It's like if you come to Niagara Falls or you go to Mumbai and you just come to see family, but you still have that inclination to go do some touristy things, right? You want to shop for something or eat something. So Sri Lakshmana is feeling like, we're in this great city, I want to go see things, but he's too afraid to ask Rishi Vishwamitra. So Bhagavan Rama, he's so connected to his brother that he asks Rishi Vishwamitra saying, Sri Lakshmana really wants to see the city. Is it okay if we go? For all of the people who've played taboo before, when brothers and sisters or cousins or friends, when they play taboo, they're so good at it. They just have those connections. I think Bhagavan Rama and Sri Lakshmana would be the best. Because he can read his mind. He can actually see what the card says also. So they would beat all of us. So they start walking around the city. And as they're walking, the people who are sweeping and cooking and driving, I don't know why this is driving carts, whatever their responsibilities are, whatever their dharma is, they all started running towards these two young boys. They may be 16 years old right now, dropping everything and running for darshan. And now sometimes we may think, this is all an exaggeration. What people run after people like that? Now you think wherever you are right now, if Amitabh Bachchan walked in, would you recognize me? Would you remember Ramayana? Correct. If Donald Trump walked into wherever you were, some of you would run towards him, some of you would run away from him, correct? Darshan of, darshan away. So this is not an exaggeration. And this was typically the males who were running after these young boys. While the females, what were they doing? Females, what would you be doing if all of the males and kids are running after these young men. What are they thinking about? These two would be a great match for our princess. That is, Mother Sita, yes. So we should think of how these two can get married. And they're thinking that if Lord Rama marries Mother Sita, then he'll keep on coming because this will be the house of his in-laws, correct? So matchmaking, Shadi.com began way back in the day during our Ramayana period. And now coming to what I just read. So these kids, they're smaller, they're younger than Bhagwan Rama and Sri Lakshmana. And they started daring each other. One kid would dare the other kid, go touch them. Go feel how their hair is, go pull on their bow or their arrows. So one kid, very bravely goes up there and just kind of pokes and runs away from Bhagwan Rama. But Bhagwan Rama doesn't get mad at all. If some kid poked me, I'd poke them back harder so that they don't poke me again. But Bhagwan Rama, just absorb that. So then another kid, kind of pokes them more. And then another kid holds their hand. And another kid kind of hugs them. And soon, I think it's the Pied Piper, is that the correct terminology? That all of these kids follow this, I hope I'm saying it right, Pied Piper. All of these kids started following Bhagwan Rama. And they were saying things like, this is where I live, and this is our school, and this is where we buy groceries. And Bhagwan Rama was so interested. He was like, really? Tell me more about this. Show me this. Take me there. And what's so funny about this is that Bhagwan Rama created all of this. He's the creator of all of this, but he's just playing along with those kids. Now think, didn't Raja Janaka say all beings love these boys? And isn't that what happened? The men love these boys. The women love these boys. The kids love these boys. And as they're being tourists, they start to see that the sun is setting. And Bhagwan Rama becomes very scared. You may not hear this often of Bhagwan Rama being scared, but he becomes scared. What is he scared of? Being late to be with Rishi Vishwamitra. The person who's in control of fear, now he's afraid of being late for Rishi Vishwamitra. And so they rush back to Rishi Vishwamitra. And Rishi Vishwamitra says, now go get ready for your sadhana. Now what time is this? The sun is setting, correct? What time should they be doing sadhana? Even in the evening. Now you think, when you come back home from work or your errands, do you think about sadhana? Do you think about exercise? Do you even think about patience, right? See how beat up we get during our day. And then there's no time for self-development. So they do their sadhana. And then Rishi Vishwamitra starts to entertain them. Now in our homes, when we want entertainment, we turn on Netflix, correct? And we spend an hour trying to find a movie to watch, but then that hour passes and we don't watch anything, right? That's our idea of entertainment. Rishi Vishwamitra starts a katha for Bhagwan Rama. He starts describing the incarnations of Bhagwan Vishnu. Who is he talking to? Bhagwan Vishnu. And then as it becomes nighttime, Rishi Vishwamitra says, okay, now everyone should go and sleep. So Lord Rama and Sri Lakshmana, they go beside Rishi Vishwamitra and they start massaging his feet and legs. And then only after a lot of prodding does Rishi Vishwamitra say, no, now go to sleep. So Lord Rama lies down. And what does Sri Lakshmana do? He starts massaging his feet. And then Sri Lakshmana goes to sleep. And then the next morning, who got up first? Sri Lakshmana got up first, then Sri Rama, and then Rishi Vishwamitra. Now think about that discipline that I just talked about. Serving to the end and serving in the beginning. Who is Sri Lakshmana thinking about the least? Himself. How do you know if you're service-oriented? How do you know if you're disciplined? Because you're not concerned about your eating, you're sleeping, and on and on and on. And that's what's brought out here. Okay, so we'll leave the katha there, and now we'll focus on the adhyatma. What does this mean for you and I? The men, the women, and the boys all loved Bhagavan Rama. What this means for us is that we too should be in love with the Absolute. We should love peace. We should love joy. We should love the highest. Now Valentine's Day is coming up on the 14th. And what are you going to do on Valentine's Day? Spend money, correct? That's all that's going to happen on Valentine's Day. Are you in love? I'm going to talk more about what real romanticism is shortly. But when Raja Janaka says all beings love these boys, follow through with that love. You do love happiness, but are you making that a priority? Are you developing that independent joy? And a way to really do this, we keep saying falling in love. We should rise in love. Now, if you think of being on a plane, when you're on the tarmac, I think that's the terminology, and you're looking out the window, and you see baggage handlers, you see other people in a plane, you see men and women, correct? You see dark-skinned people and light-skinned people. Then the plane takes off to 5,000 feet. Can you tell the men from the women from 5,000 feet? You go to 40,000 feet. Can you tell whose land ends where? Can you see what kind of model of car someone's driving? And on and on and on. See, rising in love means focusing on people's strengths rather than their weaknesses. If you fall in love, then what happens is you focus on the surface of someone. And when you look at someone from the surface, it's weaknesses. They're so impatient. They're so lazy. They don't dress well. They don't speak well. Why do they make these decisions? But if you go deeper into them, everybody has strengths. And if you go to the deepest element of someone, they're not different than you, are they? In the upcoming e-vichara, which I'll send tomorrow, you know the mantra, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi. When do you chant that? We quickly fast forward that before we're about to eat, correct? We just chant the first line and then start. If we have this vision that all is divine, won't we care for humans more if we believe that they're divine? Animals, plants, stones. All you need is that vision and you become more caring. And without that vision, you become more selfish. So rise in love is what's being taught here. And now, what Swami Tejramananda had shared, you know all these men and women who are running towards Bhagavan Rama? It's shared that some of the women and men, both men and women, had thoughts of wanting to marry these boys, these 16-year-old boys. Now, if I say that in a secular way, that rattles people. These city folk, and then if you look at Lord Krishna's avatara, the villagers, these are all sadhus who disguise themselves as city folk and villagers. Now, what does a sadhu want to do? They want to become one with Absolute. They want to become one with absolute joy, absolute awareness, absolute existence. So don't take marriage in a secular way, in a surface way. All of these city folk and villagers, they wanted to become one with joy. Now, I was sharing how Bhagavan Rama was interested in everything that these kids had to share, correct? What interests you? If you think of what really interests you, what brings out your best is that which lasts. If it doesn't last, you're not so interested in it. But if it lasts, you're more interested in it. Most of you weren't born in North America. When you moved to a city in North America and you lived with someone else, someone's apartment, then you rented your own apartment. Did you care for that apartment as much as when you bought your own home? Do you care as much for a rental car versus a leased car versus your own car? Isn't it that which is lasting you're more interested in? So now think, what will last forever? What will last longer is not the body, but it's the mind. Isn't it? It's not pleasures, but it's possessions. It's not possessions, but it's position. It's not position, it's peace. Be interested in that which is lasting. And I've shared this a few times. Please fill in the blanks. What is the best way to be happy for 1 hour? Take a nap. Correct? The most effective way to be happy for an hour is sleep. That's why some people love discourses. Because just feel how soothing this is. Oh, right? It's like a lullaby. And then you just slowly drift off to sleep. And then Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. And you just softly wake up. Like it was deep contemplation for 50 minutes. Sleep. What is the best way to be happy for a day? The typical person's response is sleep more. It's play. Play a sport. Go for a hike. Watch a game. Right? Everyone was super happy on Super Bowl Sunday, but miserable on Super Bowl Monday. Correct? So play. If you want to be happy for a month, what is the best way? This is an old Chinese proverb, okay? Not Vivek's original creation. Get married. If you want to be happy for a month, get married. And that's where the idea of a honeymoon came in. The moon rises, the moon sets, and then I always have to add in, Amavasya continues. If you want to be happy for a year, what should you do? Best way to be happy for a year. Inherit a fortune. And you'll enjoy for 1 year, but after that year, if you have any money left, it becomes the same thing, doesn't it? And if you want to be happy for a lifetime, what should you do? Serve. Help others. Now you see the scale here. How long does a nap last? How long does a sport last? How long does marriage last? How long does money last? How long does serving last? The longer lasting it is, the more interested you become in that. And Swami Tej Ramayana has added one more. He said, if you want to be happy forever, because the lifetime is not forever for us, right? I die and born again, I die and born again. He says, know thyself. When you know your nature, then you are happy once and for all, which is why Brahma Vidya or Vedanta or self-development is the best science. Because all the other sciences you can learn in a year or 10 years or a lifetime, but this science requires you to apply yourself endlessly to reach that endlessness. Once you love self-development, once you love applying self-development, you will be such an interested person, such an interesting person. And now, last Adhyatma point about Bhagwan Rama, being afraid of being late for Rishi Vishwamitra. Our relationship with our Guru is of two directions or two perspectives, okay? Fear and near. We tend to fear our Guru, but we still want to be near our Guru. That's a very unique experience. If you fear someone, you tend to avoid them, correct? And if you're near someone, you tend to take them casually. They become familial. But with the Guru, it's a very special combination of you're afraid of them, but you still want to be around them. Now, why do you fear them? Because they expect the best out of you. They expect, don't take it in a secular way. They're ones who can reach into your heart and start to dismantle your ego. And it hurts. It hurts to be less of an individual. It hurts to speak less, and on and on and on. But a guru can do that, so we're afraid of that. But we know that bringing out the best from us, we know when that ego is dismantled, that we love it. We feel that joy. That's what Bhagavan Rama is showing, that fearness, but that nearness. I know fearness is not a real word, but just go with me. And now a point on how to develop this. Your relationship with your guru should be serious. Should. Do not take your guru casually. So your relationship should be serious. What they say and what they think and how they act with you, but you shouldn't take that personally. There's a difference there. Being serious and being personal are very different. If a guru says something that you made a wrong decision, or why did you act like that, take it seriously. But don't take it personally, because if you take it personally, you have treated that relationship to be casual, familial. Okay? And one more point that I didn't share with you is that after Sri Lakshmana was massaging Bhagavan Rama's feet, and he said, you should go to sleep now, Sri Lakshmana lied down and continued massaging his feet in his mind. He went to sleep massaging Bhagavan Rama's feet in his mind. And what that shows us, many of us, as long as our guru is in sight, our guru is in our mind, and so we are dharmic. But as soon as our guru leaves our sight, out of mind, all of that integrity tends to fade away. Okay? So don't be that person who lives by out of sight, out of mind. You're deeper than that. This is how to apply Ramayana. We move on. I'm going to the 236th section of Chopais, and I am going to read the first line of the third verse. First line, third verse of the 236th section of Chopais. This is what it shares. I'm on page 163. Vinaya prema basa bari bhavani kasi mala murati musukani. So what happens here is Bhavani, Mother Parvati, who's being prayed to by Mother Sita, she smiles at Mother Sita, and that garland, that mala she's wearing, falls off of herself onto Mother Sita. Okay, this is a famous portion of Ramayana. All of the people who want a healthy relationship for their son or daughter, or if you're in that case where you want a healthy relationship, this is what is read to help bring that about. Okay? I told you matchmaking started way back in the day with a lot of substance here. So, the next morning, when Sri Lakshmana woke up, and then Bhagavan Rama, and then Rishi Vishwamitra had to perform his puja, and he needed flowers. So he sends Bhagavan Rama and Sri Lakshmana to go get flowers. And they already toured the city the day before, so they know where the royal garden is. And they come into this royal garden, and they're so happy by the beauty of creation. Now, concurrently, Mother Sita's mother sends Mother Sita to that same royal garden to go worship Girija. Girija is Mother Parvati and a mandir there. So how is it that Rishi Vishwamitra sends these two boys there? And how is it that Mother Sita's mother sends Mother Sita and her friends to the same garden at the same time? This is like an arranged introduction. It's not an arranged marriage. This is an arranged introduction, isn't it? You think about how your marriage manifested. So this is how this came to be. And Mother Sita, she's looking at the flowers. She's doing her own work. And one of her sakhis, one of her friends, sees Bhagavan Rama and Sri Lakshmana, and she's stunned. She can't stop looking at them. And then she runs back to Mother Sita and just starts, like mumbling. And Mother Sita, what? And she just cannot communicate what she's experienced. All she does is kind of turn her head towards Bhagavan Rama. Now, Bhagavan Rama never saw Mother Sita. He first heard her. She was wearing anklets, and as she was walking through the garden, he was so lost in just the sound of those anklets. And it's not like he hasn't heard anklets before, right? He's a prince. But the sound that Mother Sita made was something that was different. And if you just look at that a little bit more deeply, she didn't pound when she walked. Some people in their homes, they pound so that everyone can hear them, so that they're known. She was so graceful. The best Bharatanatyam dancer, Mother Sita. And then there's a lot of shringa that is portrayed in our Ramayana, a lot of romanticism. Okay, so I'll highlight some of those sharings. One is Mother Sita, when she sees Bhagavan Rama, she feels like their love is an old love. She doesn't have this Gandharva love, which is impulsive or physical. She feels like they've been friends forever. Really best friends forever. And at that time, she remembers Narada Muni. And Narada Muni said, remember that you're going to marry such and such person. And she remembers that. So it's a very established love. When Bhagavan Rama finally sees Mother Sita, he forgets to blink. Nimisha means to blink. He stops Nimisha. His eyes are just opened, absorbing as much as possible. See, when we do that, we call it staring, right? It's awkward. You feel self-conscious. But with Bhagavan Rama, it wasn't staring, it was absorption. It's very different. When Mother Sita saw Bhagavan Rama, she couldn't open her eyes. She saw him once and then closed her eyes and kept him inside of her heart. So one couldn't close their eyes, one couldn't open their eyes. And it's shared when Mother Sita saw Bhagavan Rama, she studied him from foot to head. Now, when we study people, don't we say, I'm studying you from head to foot? But very specifically in Ramayana, it says she studied him from foot to head. There is so much respect that evolves to love, which evolves to reverence in these relationships. That's what romanticism is. It's built on respect, not built on indulgence or fantasy. And you have to picture it. It's like the Bollywood movies copied Ramayana. There's some rain, there's some dancing that's happening, but you see how much more pure it was back in the day. And then Mother Sita remembers why she went to the garden, and she goes to Mother Parvati and she starts praying. And you know how she prays? By saying nothing. Okay. So, what does this all mean for you and I? Okay, I'm taking us to the Adhyatma. It's the morning time. They went to the royal garden. And before they took a single flower off those trees, what did they do? They asked the gardeners if they can take those flowers. They're called malis. They asked the mali, is it okay if we take some of these flowers for our guru? Now, do you think the gardener would have said no if they were being asked permission? Now, you and I, especially Indians. Do we ever ask permission to take stuff from nature? Correct? We set up our picnics wherever we want. Don't spit here, so we spit on that sign. Correct. So you see here, respect is earned. Bhagwan Rama respected even those gardeners. So naturally, those gardeners are going to respect him, no? You often see images of President Obama and how he respected even the simplest workers. You know, people who rolled out the carpet or held an umbrella or whatever. He respected them, so people respected him, no? Respect is earned. And how do you know you've earned respect? You become manohara. You become chitta chora. People are always thinking about you in the positive, not in the negative. This person's such a jerk. That person said this, etc. You know, people think about you. People want to speak about you. Someone had sent me a very ostentatious, that's a word, right? Rad. They said, measure yourself by how many people measure themselves to you. Okay? Your greatness is in how people want to be like you. And though I would never post that rad because it's way too ostentatious, but it's a fine way to think, is that how many people look up to me? How many people treat me as a role model? Respect is earned. Then continuing, remember I said Mother Sita's friend, she was mumbling. She couldn't describe what she had experienced. And that's because you cannot indirectly experience Bhagavan. You can only directly experience Bhagavan. Your nature is beyond your senses, beyond your mouth, beyond your eyes. One day we'll study Kena Upanishad together. And in Kena Upanishad, it says the speech returned. The eyes returned. You can't experience infinity with finitude. So that's what's all conveyed there. And now a very beautiful and thoughtful adhyatmic portion here. This royal garden should be our head, our heart. And in this, Bhagwan Rama is a symbol of jnana, and Mother Sita is a symbol of bhakti. And jnana and bhakti should be attracted to each other. Jnana and bhakti need to be married to each other. You can't just have jnana, you can't just have bhakti. They need to be attracted and married to each other. And in the presence of Sri Lakshmana, who symbolizes vairagya. Okay? Jnana, bhakti in the presence of vairagya. Vairagya means independence. So if you're ever being dependent on coffee, dependent on recognition, dependent on substances, then if there's a vairagi there, they'll say, why are you doing that? Don't indulge in that. Be disciplined. But the whole time, Sri Lakshmana is quiet because this knowledge is being attracted in the right way towards bhakti. Bhakti is being attracted in the right way towards jnana. It wasn't lust. It wasn't attraction that was lowering them, but it was attraction that was lifting them. So that's why vairagya, that presence of Sri Lakshmana, is very important. And Bhagwan Rama even shares to Sri Lakshmana, he says, my mind doesn't go anywhere but to that which is beneficial for all. Bhagwan Rama knew his mind so well that he knew he couldn't be distracted by that which is less. Now think of ourselves, how easily distracted we are. We hardly know where our mind is. But if we want to practice adhyatma, you need to know your mind. You need to know where your mind flows. When I spoke at the London Health Science Center, I spoke at a hospital recently, and I was telling those dozens and dozens of psychiatrists and caregivers, I said, you need to know your mind before you can know someone else's mind. And I told them how. Swami Chinmaya says, introspect, detect, negate, substitute. Step one is introspect. Get to know yourself. On Valentine's Day, which we're now going to change the name, I'll tell you what the name will be shortly. Go on a date with yourself. Why does date night have to be with another person? Why can't you date yourself? It's the most intimate experience. It's the most cost-efficient experience, and on and on and on. And if we can have that strength to learn to be alone, we will start to know our mind much more. And finally, I was saying that Mother Sita went to Mother Parvati's mandir, and she just remained there silently because she knew that Mother Parvati lives in everyone's heart. She already knows her prayers. Why does she have to say those prayers? The highest prayer is silence. Thy will be done, not my will. See, it's snowing so much right now. And if I say, Bhagwan, please make the weather better so we can drive home and more safely. But what if this is preventing something more serious from happening? Isn't it? So thy will be done. And when Mother Parvati sees the intensity of Mother Sita's prayer, that you're saying I know the best, she's saying this to Mother Parvati. Mother Parvati smiles. The actual Murti, the actual icon smiles. You know, your kids, when your kids have done something wrong, what do they feel you're doing to them? You're giving them karai, correct? You're angry at them. You don't even know that they've done anything wrong, but they feel like you're angry at them. Isn't it? Your Murti becomes angry. But if your kids have done something well, even if you're angry, they still feel like, yeah, their Bhagwan is smiling at them. So Mother Parvati's Murti smiles because Mother Sita knows this is right. That strength is there. And this is externally shown that mala falls off of that Murti. And in one place, it's shared that Mother Sita took that mala and put it on her head. Now, what do you and I do if a mala falls out? Put it on yourself, correct? If I see something that's fallen, keep it. That mala is a Jaya mala, which means one who knows what's a priority. Jaya means priority. So she's very clear about her priorities. So for anyone who would like to have a good spouse in life, even if you have one right now, to make them a better spouse, okay? Or if you don't have a spouse and you want a spouse, or someone you know wants to have a spouse like Mother Sita, like Bhagwan Rama, you should start reading, okay? This is the 230, please record this, okay? This is such a great prayer you can offer to people. This is the 235th section of Chopais. It starts with verse 3. So it starts with Jaya Jaya Giri. Okay, the 235th section of Chopais, the third verse, and it goes all the way to the Chanda. There's 2 lines in the Chanda. So that's what you should chant for your well-being, for other people's well-being. It's important to know these details. Like if someone passes away, there's certain shlokas of Gita that you should remember because it invokes that energy. Okay? Oh.